It's of course not just one area that makes Clark great, but the combination of her shooting, scoring, passing, and rebounding, which is exceedingly rare. And that was on full display on July 6th.
Imagine a shot no one should make. 30 feet from the basket, a defender closing in, the clock ticking down. Most players would hesitate. Most players would miss. Not Caitlin Clark. She rises, releases, and the ball drops through the net as if the laws of physics had bent just for her. How does someone reach this level? What separates a legend from every other player on the court? This is not luck. This is a force of nature rewriting the rules of basketball in real time. A player whose skill, vision, and audacity demand that the game itself adapt to her. Today, we break down how Caitlin Clark became the most dangerous player on any court she steps onto, and why basketball will never be the same again.
Clark, can she answer? Of course.
Defying gravity before the sold-out arenas, before the broken records, and before 18 million people tuned in to watch a women's college basketball game for the first time in history, there was a kid in Des Moines, Iowa, shooting jumpers until the streetlights came on. Caitlin Elizabeth Clark was born on January 22, 2002, into a family where sports were not a hobby. They were a language. 11 members of her family played collegiate athletics. Her father played baseball and basketball at Simpson College. Her older brother played football at Iowa State. Competition was not something she learned. It was something she breathed.
Sims from Clark range. Oh, she baked it in!
At Dowling Catholic High School, Clark was already doing things that did not make sense for a player her age. She scored 2,547 career points. She topped the state tournament record book for points in a single game with 42 and three-pointers made with 7. By the time she graduated, where she was averaging over 30 points a game and every major program in the country was calling. She chose Iowa, not a blue blood, not a dynasty. She chose the Hawkeyes, a program with a proud history, but not the kind of national spotlight that Clark was about to demand. And from the moment she stepped on the floor in Iowa City, everything changed. Her freshman year was a warning shot. She averaged 26.6 points per game and instantly became the most exciting player in the Big Ten. But freshman Caitlin Clark was a preview, a sketch of something that had not yet been fully drawn. The range was already absurd. The court vision was already elite. The confidence was already bordering on arrogant. But the full picture, the player who would break every record the sport had ever kept,
but as a shooter, you gotta be like Dorian finding,
was still being assembled. What made Clark different from every other scoring prodigy who has ever played college basketball was that she did not just score, she passed. She ran the offense. She saw angles that other players could not perceive and delivered the ball to spots that should have been impossible to reach. She was not a shooter who could pass. She was a point guard who could outscore anyone alive. That combination had never existed before at her level, and it forced every team that played Iowa to confront a problem that had no clean solution. Guard her tight and she finds the open teammate. Sag off and she buries a three from the parking lot. Double her and she threads a pass through the defense like it has a GPS. Triple her and she still might score. By her sophomore year, she was the most dominant offensive force in college basketball. By her junior year, she was the most watched. By her senior year, she was the greatest. 3,951 points. Let me walk you through the numbers because the numbers are where this story goes from impressive to genuinely unbelievable. Caitlin Clark finished her college career at Iowa with 3,951 points. That is the most points ever scored by any player, male or female, in NCAA Division I history. She did not just break the women's record, she broke Pete Maravich's record, Pistol Pete, the player whose scoring record was considered so untouchable that it had stood for over 50 years. Clark passed him on March 3, 2024, in a game against Ohio State, finishing with 35 points in a 93-83 win. She scored her 3,685th point right before halftime and kept going. The arena knew what was happening. The broadcast knew. And Clark, true to form, Ina did it with a deep three-pointer, the kind of shot that had become her signature, The kind of shot that no one else in the history of the sport had the audacity or the ability to take with that kind of frequency and accuracy. But the scoring record is just the headline. The full resume is staggering.
And we're following breaking news that has finally happened. This is how it went down. Caitlin Clark, now the all-time leading scorer.
She holds the NCAA women's record for career three-pointers made with 1,234. She holds the single-season three-point record. She set the single-season scoring record for women's Division I basketball. She led the nation in scoring 3 times and in assists 3 consecutive years, something only one other player in history had done. She finished her career with over 2,000 points and 1,000 assists, becoming just the 3rd player in Division I women's history to reach both milestones. She recorded 17 career triple-doubles, which is as many as the next 3 players on the active NCAA list combined. She was named AP Player of the Year twice. She won the Naismith College Player of the Year award twice. She had her number 22 jersey retired by Iowa. She became the first player in men's or women's NCAA tournament history.
Caitlin Clark now has the D1 career three-point record. Her 9 threes against LSU were the most in a game in NCAA tournament history.
To record a 40-point triple-double. She made more three-pointers in a single season than 60% of the teams in Division I women's basketball. Read that again. One player. More threes than entire teams. And then there is the game that cemented her legend in the mind of every casual fan who happened to be watching. February 15th, 2024. Iowa versus Michigan. Clark needed 18 points to break Kelsey Plum's all-time women's scoring record. She scored 49, a career high, with 13 assists and 5 rebounds. Well, between her own points and the points she created through assists, Clark was responsible for 79 of Iowa's total output that night, the most by any Division I women's player in at least a quarter century. She did not just break the record, she obliterated the game around it.
She's now 1 for 12 on the day from deep.
That's where she likes to go, that right to left signature shot.
That is the Caitlin Clark experience distilled into a single evening. She does not just reach milestones. She turns milestones into moments of absolute spectacle, the kind that make you put your phone down and watch with your full attention because you understand, even if you cannot articulate it, that you are seeing something that will not come around again. But there is a number that matters more than any scoring record. A number that explains why Clark is not just a great player, but a transformative force in American sports. The 2024 NCAA Women's Championship game, when Iowa versus South Carolina, drew 18.9 million viewers. That is the most watched women's college basketball game in history. The previous record, set the year before when Iowa played LSU, was 9.9 million. Clark nearly doubled it. She did not just play the game at the highest level.
2 weeks ago, Clark became the NCAA Women's Division I scoring leader.
She made people care about the game at the highest level. Stadiums that had never sold out for women's basketball were selling out months in advance. Iowa generated $3.26 million in ticket revenue in a single season, the most in the history of women's college basketball. A preseason exhibition game drew 55,646 fans, a women's basketball attendance record. An autographed Caitlin Clark trading card sold for $84,000, the second most expensive card of a female athlete behind only Serena Williams. The phenomenon had a name. Economists and sports analysts started calling it the Caitlin Clark effect, and it was not slowing down. Breaking the league on April 15, 2024, the Indiana Fever selected Caitlin Clark.
The Indiana Fever selects
Caitlin Clark, University of Iowa.
With the first overall pick in the WNBA draft. Nobody was surprised. The only question was whether the player who had dominated college basketball so completely could translate that dominance to the professional level, where the athletes are bigger, faster, stronger, and far less forgiving of the kinds of risks that make highlight reels. The early answer was complicated. Clark's first few games were rough in the way that most rookie transitions are rough. She turned the ball over. She forced shots. She struggled with the speed and physicality of the professional game. Critics who had been waiting for a reason to doubt her pounced. And the hot takes were immediate and relentless. She is overhyped. She cannot handle the WNBA. She was a product of a weak conference. The noise was deafening, and then she adjusted. Not slowly, not gradually. She adjusted like a system recalibrating in real time, absorbing data from every game, every defensive scheme, every hard foul, and reprogramming her approach on the fly. By the middle of her rookie season, Clark was not just competing, she was dominating. She became the first rookie in WNBA history to record a triple-double. She broke the league's single-game assist record with 19. She broke the single-season assist record for rookies.
Caitlin, you are the 2024 Kia WNBA Rookie of...
She broke the rookie scoring record. She made the All-Star game. She was named to the All-WNBA first team. She won Rookie of the Year unanimously. The player who was supposed to struggle with the transition did not just survive it. She conquered it and then started rewriting the league's record books in the same methodical way she had rewritten the college ones. What makes Clark so devastating at the professional level is the same thing that made her unstoppable in college, but amplified by the quality of the players around her. Her range is not normal. It extends several feet beyond the three-point line, a distance that most professional players do not even consider a viable shooting zone. When Clark pulls up from 28 or 30 feet, defenders face an impossible choice. If they respect the range and close out aggressively, she blows by them with a crossover that is far quicker than her frame suggests and finishes at the rim with a soft touch or drops a pass to a cutting teammate.
All-time leading scorer in women's college basketball.
If they sag off and dare her to shoot, she buries it with a release so quick and a base so balanced that the ball is gone before the defender can even begin to contest. She does not just shoot threes. She shoots from a dimension of the court that other players do not occupy, and she shoots them with the confidence of someone taking a free throw. But the shooting is only half the equation. Clark's court vision is the part of her game that separates her from every other player in the league. She sees passes that should not exist. Bounce passes through traffic that arrive at the exact moment a teammate's hands are ready. Skip passes across the full width of the court that land on the shooting pocket of a player who was not even open when the pass was released. No-look dimes that turn broken possessions into easy baskets. In her 2024 rookie season, she averaged 19.2 points, 8.4 assists, and 5.7 rebounds per game. She was leading the league in assists while simultaneously being one of its most dangerous scorers.
Nice. You could tell she's a pro.
That dual threat, the ability to be both the primary creator and the primary weapon on every single possession, is what makes her nearly impossible to game plan against. You cannot build a defensive scheme around stopping one thing because she does everything. 32-point masterpiece. If you want to understand what Caitlin Clark looks like when every part of her game is firing simultaneously, and when the shooting and the passing and the confidence and the swagger all lock into place at the same time, there is one game you need to watch. June 14th, 2025, Indiana Fever versus the New York Liberty, the defending WNBA champions. Undefeated on the season coming into this game, the Liberty were the best team in basketball, and they had not lost yet. Clark did not care. She finished with 32 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds in a 102-88 victory, the first loss of the season for New York. She made 7 three-pointers. At one point near the end of the first quarter, she drained 3 consecutive threes in less than a minute of game time. 3 possessions, 3 deep bombs, each one from further out than the last. The Gainbridge Fieldhouse crowd was on its feet before the third one left her hand because they knew. Sunrun, when Clark gets into that rhythm, when her feet are set and her eyes go still, and she starts measuring the rim from distances that make coaches want to scream, there is nothing any defense on earth can do about it. The ball is leaving her hand and it is going in.
Hard the ball comes at you, where it's coming at you.
And you can either watch it happen or close your eyes, but you cannot stop it. What made that game a masterpiece was not just the scoring. It was the completeness. Clark was dropping dimes all night. She was finding cutters with bounce passes that split double teams. She was pushing the pace in transition, turning defensive rebounds into fast break opportunities before the Liberty could even set up. She was playing defense, fighting over screens, jumping passing lanes, Mike contesting shots with a competitive intensity that does not always get talked about, but is absolutely part of her game. She was controlling the tempo of the entire contest, speeding it up when Indiana needed energy and slowing it down when they needed composure. She was not just playing basketball, she was conducting it.
The dribble and with her passing. Her gravity alone.
Every possession was a decision tree, and she was making the right read at every branch, every time, at full speed, against the best team in the world. After the game, the highlights went everywhere. Every sports account on every platform was posting the same clips. The back-to-back-to-back threes, the no-look passes, the pull-up from 30 feet that she released with the casualness of someone tossing a ball into a laundry basket. But the clip that stuck with me was not a made shot. It was a moment late in the game when Clark stole the ball, pushed it up the court, faked the three-pointer hard enough to send her defender stumbling sideways, and then blew past her with a drive to the basket that ended with a reverse layup. She missed the layup, but it did not matter. What mattered was the sequence, the steal, the push, the fake, the drive, the finish attempt. 4 different skills, 4 different decisions executed in about 3 seconds of real time against a championship caliber defense. That sequence is why she is different. It is not one skill. It is all of the skills, all at once, all the time, layered on top of each other and deployed with a processing speed that the game has not seen before. 21st century Jordan? There is a conversation that happens around Caitlin Clark that goes beyond basketball. On our end, it would be dishonest to tell this story without addressing it. Clark did not just change how the game is played, she changed who watches it. Before Clark, the WNBA was a league fighting for attention. Attendance was modest. Television ratings were respectable but not explosive. Media coverage was a fraction of what the NBA received. The league had extraordinary players, legitimate superstars, Hall of Famers in the making, but it did not have the one thing that turns a sport from a niche interest into a cultural event. A player who transcends the game and pulls in people who never would have watched otherwise. Clark is that player. The numbers are not debatable. Television ratings for Fever games skyrocketed from the moment she was drafted. Arenas that had empty seats for years were suddenly sold out weeks in advance. Jersey sales exploded. Social media engagement around the WNBA reached levels that the league had never seen. Sponsors who had ignored women's basketball for decades were suddenly writing checks. And this was not just about Clark fans, it was about the entire ecosystem.
And really gave you some energy, I thought, lifted you toward the end of the second quarter. I mean, that's her role. How valuable was that for what she did today?
Yeah, I mean, she gets the only...
When more people watch, more money comes in. When more money comes in, salaries go up, facilities improve, media coverage expands, and the overall quality of the product rises. Clark's presence lifted the entire league. Every team benefited from the attention she brought, even the teams that hated playing against her. The cultural impact extends beyond the sport itself. Clark became a symbol of something larger, the idea that women's sports deserve the same attention, the same investment, and the same respect as men's sports. Not as a charity case, not as a political statement, as entertainment, as competition, as something that is genuinely worth watching because the athletes are genuinely extraordinary. Clark did not ask anyone to watch women's basketball out of obligation. She made them watch because she was doing things that were objectively incredible. Things that would be incredible regardless of the gender of the player doing them. She pulled up from 30 feet and hit nothing but net. She threw behind-the-back passes that would make NBA point guards nod in respect. She competed with a fire that was visible from the upper deck, and people watched, millions of them, many for the first time. That is the Caitlin Clark effect. It is not a marketing campaign. It is not hype. It is what happens when a player is so good, so entertaining, and so relentlessly competitive that she makes it impossible to look away. Every generation gets a handful of athletes who do this. Athletes who do not just play their sport, but redefine the public's relationship with it. Michael Jordan did it for the NBA. Serena Williams did it for tennis. Caitlin Clark is doing it for women's basketball, and she is doing it at 23 years old with her entire career still ahead of her. Caitlin Clark is not finished. Every game, every possession, every impossible shot is another layer being added to a story that is still being written. The arena's quiet for a moment, just long enough to realize that what you just witnessed is not the climax. It's the opening chapter. The question now is not whether she can keep breaking records. The question is, how far can she push the game before the game itself has no choice but to change?